Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are officially one day pre CrossFit Games. How much excitement is in the air? I can't believe it's already that time of year again. New venue, same excitement. Kabo, who do you? I know you're a big games connoisseur. Like you follow all the athletes. Who do you got going? Podium.
I follow the judges. That's who I follow.
Who's going to be center lane?
Who's going to be
center lane in the last workout? Who's going to do that this year?
I follow. Yeah, I watch the judges a little bit more. I think that's just from all the years of being there judging and knowing all the work and everything that goes on behind the scenes and all the planning and just knowing you can watch the judges and almost know exactly what's going on in their heads at certain moments. So plus we know most of those guys, and yeah, that's fun for me to watch the judges. How about you? You have an athlete you're rooting for?
I mean, how can you not root for Tia? What's this? This is going to be like her 15th in a row or something like that?
You don't love a good underdog story? Come on.
Dude, it's incredible. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be exciting as always.
Pretty freaking amazing. So good morning, everybody. Brad's here, Matt, Renee, Jens. Good to see you guys.
In the house. All right. So we're not here just to talk about CrossFit Games. I think there's other lives and other channels that will be discussing that. We're actually here to talk about workouts and specifically determining the stimulus of workouts. And this is perfect timing because we just had a lesson on this in our coach development. And it's always fun to go through the process of talking through how to determine the stimulus for a workout. I'd be curious to know, well, you tell me, Kristen, what goes into determining the stimulus of a workout? What's in your brain? What goes into it?
What's in my brain? Well, first thing that I think about is how long it takes to complete each rep. That's like the very first way that I start to do it before I even start thinking about my specific avatar or anything like that, which I know we're going to chat a little bit about. But I just think, okay, what are the movements in the workout and how long does it take to do each rep? And then I kind of start to build from there.
So for example, if we've got thrusters, you're calculating how long it takes to do a single thruster, which would be, what would you say?
Like a couple seconds, depending on how heavy the weight is, but 2 to 3 seconds.
Cool. 2 to 3 seconds. Then you would be like, all right, how many total thrusters are there either in a round or in the entire workout, and do the math to multiply that?
Yep. Usually I start with per round, how many there are total per round. And then I just do the next movement, and then I get a roundabout idea of how long each round should take. I know that some people do the full movement in its entirety, like all the reps in the workout, but I choose to do it per round, which ironically is also how I attack my workouts. I don't like to ever think of the total repetitions when I'm doing a workout. I'm like, no, don't tell me the total. I just know we're doing 4 rounds of 15. That's all I need to know. Yeah. So I figure out my stimulus kind of the same way.
Yeah. I'm with Brad. It's like stimulus. Let's decide, am I going to do the workout or not? So what's this going to feel like? Yeah. What else we got? Stimulus as in proper scaling for advanced or beginner athletes. So stimulus classified as in what is the intention of the workout? So I'm glad you asked that question because we need to define that, right? When we are talking about stimulus, what's the quickest and like simplest way you can define what we mean by stimulus, Kristen?
Just the expectation in how long the workout should take or how many rounds we should be looking for our athletes to get. And then also I'd layer on there what it should feel like a little bit. Like, is it a sprint? Are we expecting people to have to take some breaks in there? That's as simple as I can make it. I don't want to keep going because then that will be less simple. You have anything to add on that?
I think bigger picture to that is like every workout is written with an intention. Like, what are we trying to develop with a specific workout? And in turn, that means what should the workout look and feel like? Therefore, how long does it take? If there's a weighted movement in the workout, should that loading feel heavy, moderate, light, all of that kind of stuff. So I think to your point right there, that is what we're talking about as far as stimulus. What are we trying to get our athletes to develop or get from the workout? And in order for that to happen, how long should it take? What should it feel like? How should we be breaking up rounds and reps? Interesting here. There's a general stimulus and there's a specific stimulus. What do you think he means by that? What would be your answer to, like, what's the difference between the two?
I'm not quite sure. General is overall time or overall rounds to complete. Oh, okay. Yeah. And so if I'm reading that correctly, the general, like he's saying, is like, here's around how long this should take. Here's how many rounds this should be. Specific is more every round. You should be completing each round in 6 minutes. And the reps should be no more broken up in no more than 2 sets type of thing. Yeah. So specific is break up reps and sets. Yeah. And I like that general stimulus, specific stimulus. I've never worded it like that. But I absolutely agree with Jens on those two distinctions.
Yeah. I think of that as like, all right, we've got the overall stimulus of the workout. And then in order to achieve that, we need to dive deeper and look at each round, the movements, the reps, all of that kind of stuff. And classified here, give an example of Fran for between 4 to 5 minutes. And I'm glad you brought that one up because I've put together some workouts. And by put together, I mean, I believe it was just the last 3 days of CrossFit.com programming, the workouts that they had. And we wanted to talk through those workouts and also some slight changes or iterations and talk through the stimulus there. So let's actually, yesterday, if you guys pay attention to CrossFit.com, and if you don't, you should, we had the most notorious CrossFit workout of all, which is the workout Fran. And so I've got that written right here. So Fran is 21, 15, and 9 of thrusters at either 65 pounds for the ladies or 95 pounds for the gentlemen, and pull-ups. So Kristen, go through the process of talking us through how you determine the stimulus for this workout. You already made mention that we are going to time how long it takes to do one of the single movements, then multiply it by the total volume of reps. So talk me through your thought process for determining the stimulus here.
Sure. So if I'm looking at this workout and I'm starting from scratch, like, okay, I've got to figure out around how long this workout's going to take. First thing that I will do is, like we said, figure out about how long those thrusters are going to take. We're looking at about 2 to 3 seconds per rep. Multiply that times the number of reps. So we'll say, 45 seconds for the thrusters. And then I'll do the same thing on the pull-ups, right? So how long does it take to do a pull-up? I'm going to do it originally or initially. I'm just thinking gymnastics style, like C-kip pull-ups, just to get my base. Cause I understand that butterfly pull-ups are faster.
You said 45 seconds, and that's in the first round, right? That's just the round of 21 is what you're saying?
Yes. That's just
not for the 45 total reps.
Correct. That's just the round of 21, right? So we go 21 times 2 is, 42. So round it up to 45 seconds. And then I'll do the same thing for the pull-up. So we could even say the same thing, right? Like each pull-up is going to take about 2 seconds. From there, that's when I start to add a little bit of buffer, and a little bit of like wiggle room, right? So, and this is where I start to go ahead.
And I want you to define what buffer and wiggle room.
I know it's super like specific terms, right? Very objective.
What's happening and why is there buffer? Like there's something happening on the gym floor with athletes that accounts for that buffer, that wiggle room. What is?
Well, I mean, one thing is you have to walk from your barbell to your pull-up bar. And I totally understand and recognize that some people put their barbell directly under the pull-up rig so that they don't have to do that. But we're not talking about that when we're trying to figure out like a general stimulus for the workout. So I'm thinking, all right, once you put your barbell down, then you have to walk over the pull-up bar. Maybe you put some chalk on, maybe you like pull your grips on, whatever you have. But anyways, that's kind of what that buffer.
So we call that transition. We call that the transition, right? So
Yeah.
we're going to factor in transitions, right? So the more movements, like if you're doing a 12 days of Christmas, the more transitions, the more
Mm-hmm.
buffer you're going to add. Cool. Keep
Yep.
going.
And then I'm going to look at what the loading is. And again, what the loading is compared to the reps. So for this example, 95 pounds and 65 pounds is a light thruster. So I'm expecting my athletes on that round of 21 to be able to do it unbroken. But knowing, hey, maybe I'll be okay if someone's going to break it up into 2 sets. So then that's a little bit more. You put the barbell down, you go and pick it right back up. So I'm averaging like 45 seconds to a minute on the thrusters and on the pull-ups. And then that accounts for them walking from the pull-up bar back to the thruster to then start the next round. And then I'll just do each round like that, add it all up, and then I'll see what the time is.
All right, so keep going through the process then. So we've got a minute. So you said it's going to be 45 seconds, but with your buffer, is the transitions in the first round. It's transitions is going to be a minute worth of thrusters, a minute worth of pull-ups. So now we moved to round number 2 and we've got less reps.
Yep. So we can do the same thing. 15 times 2 is 30. Now that's assuming that you walk over to your barbell, you pick it up immediately and you get those 15 done unbroken. So we're looking at 30 seconds right there. And then same thing for the pull-ups. It's another 30 seconds. So that's another minute. Add in, again, the transition time there to walk from the bar to the pull-up. So now we're at 1, 2, 3 minutes for the first 2 rounds. And then again, adding a little bit of time to walk back to the thruster. I'm going to give them like 30 seconds to hit the last round. So that's another minute. So now we're at about a 4 minute. And then you account for the fact that not everyone's going to be able to do all of these unbroken, specifically the pull-ups likely. Maybe 2 sets on the set of 15. Hopefully 1 set on the 9. Maybe we'll have people do a 5 and a 4. That'll be totally fine. And then that gets me to about like 4 to 6 minutes.
Cool.
That I want people to do it in. Yeah. Maybe we'll like widen that out a little bit more, but that's just super quick how I would go through it. And then again, kind of look at it and be like, okay, where do I need to make adjustments now that I have that base time? Am I giving people enough transition time? Am I being unrealistic that I want people to do it unbroken? And it just depends. We know this workout really well, so I think it's easy to go through this quickly and know what the expectation is. So there's a little more thought that goes into a workout that I'm just seeing for the first time. Have to think like, okay, how do the movements interact with each other? We know that this is such a complementary programmed workout, like the squat to a press compared with the pull. So we're probably not going to see a lot of that redundancy that we're going to have to account for. Yeah. What do you have to add?
So the other buffer piece to that, besides transition, is going to be fatigue, right?
Fatigue. Yeah.
This is one, although these are complementary movement functions, the fatigue catches up to people quickly, more often than not. And so my approach to this is very similar to yours, where I look at the round of 21. Ideally, it's unbroken and it's 45 seconds. The pull-ups, ideally, it's unbroken. It's 30 to 40 seconds. But with transitions, I'm going to add a little bit of time and go a minute for each movement. And then although the rep scheme's going down 15 and 15 and then 9 and 9, the fatigue is going up. So I roughly would just average each one of those at a minute a piece either as well. So same deal. We get to the 6 minute mark kind of on the high end for people that are ideally, quote unquote, doing it unbroken, but are navigating the fatigue. And then when I start factoring in the fact that I would be okay with people doing the first round of thrusters in 2 sets and the first round of pull-ups in 3 sets. I'd be all right with the second round of thrusters, ideally in 2 sets, but maybe 3 sets. And then the second round of pull-ups and probably 4 sets. And then the last round somewhere between 2 to 3 sets for each of the movements. I would still be okay with people doing that. I would push the window that I would allot in my timeline probably closer to 10 minutes. Hopefully everybody's done under 8, but I'm probably accounting for 10. So that's a quick Well, it wasn't as quick as I want it to be, but that's an overview of how we can start talking through stimulus, knowing how long the movements are going to take, factoring in transitions, and then also fatigue. So we've got some questions or some things here in the comments. Stephen adds adds a where do we got it? All right. We've got a workout here with clean and jerks for time. 60 clean and jerks at 1:35.95 every minute on the minute. Do 5 box jumps, including at 0-0. High box jumps, 30 and 24. Oof. Do you want to give that one a shot? You want to talk through that?
I mean, we can talk through it. Yeah, let's talk through it. I hate workouts that do that every minute on the minute thing. They just mentally crush me. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Where it's just, but they're so hard because it gives you motivation to get as many reps done as you can so that you hurry up and get the workout done. So this is a tough one. All right. Well, first thing I'm going to do is figure out the clean and jerks. It's double grace. So that's a high volume. Clean and jerk, few seconds per clean and jerk. Say like, I need to get my calculator out for this. 4 seconds per clean and jerk. What do you think? 5 seconds with that high of a volume?
Yeah, my brain does it completely different. So I look at that and I'm like, all right, what is on average early on your box jumps are going to be done in under 20 seconds, but as you get tired at best, it's going to be 30 seconds. So I'm thinking like 30 seconds of box jump, 30 seconds of clean and jerks. And when you're fresh, I think you're doing like 5. As you get tired, you're probably lucky to be getting 3. And once again, in my mind, I'm not accounting for the best athlete in the gym. I'm trying to think about who is the least fit person that I'm going to allow do this thing as prescribed. And therefore, that's like the bottom line of what I want everybody else to do. So I'm like, all right, if people were able to maintain 5 reps each minute, that's going to take them 12 minutes. I don't think people are going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think 3 reps.
Right. And so all of a sudden at 12 minutes is not going to be realistic. Then I'm like, well, hopefully I get people to 15, but I would probably allot for like 18 to 20 minutes for this thing, hoping that everybody's 15 or better. So once again,
that's workout.
Yeah, I hate this workout too, especially you guys all know what's up with those box jumps. Like, Steven, this is a legal workout. It's not allowed. Let's see what everybody else put. Let's see. You're trying to kill people with that one. Guessing it took you 10 minutes. Trying to get 6 reps per minute. What Brad thought. Same athletes have not developed the ability to go hard for 4 to 6 minutes. They might need to transition and take a break.
I think that's about Fran.
That was with Fran.
Yeah, and coming back to this workout as we're figuring this out, my go-to is to first figure out the clean and jerks. But then once I figure that out, then I realize that, and I think you said this while I was using my calculator, then I realized that it actually matters more how much time the box jump takes so that you can see how long you have to do the clean and jerks. This would be one of these workouts I have to figure out like on paper, my like Goodwill Hunting. Mind. Like, all right, I'm drawing little boxes and being like, no. But yeah, I agree with the 30 seconds. And then Steven, you factor in all that fatigue and whew, it's a long one.
6 to 10 about like Steven, six reps a minute is going, I will tell you right now, is going to be for a fire breather. Like I want you, Brad, you and Steven both to do this one and let us know how it goes. Because I will be shocked if this is like a 6 to 10 minutes. I think doing this in 10 minutes is very impressive for a normal average affiliate goer.
Well, especially factoring in the high box jumps. Like if they were low box jumps, are they box jumps or box jump overs?
Jumps, but like 30 inches, you're jumping on and you're like stepping down and putting your hands to help brace you. And
I think that's a game that's a little bit of a game changer, like the high box jump versus regular, because that's going to add some more time there for sure. Let's get someone to test that one.
Grant's got a question. As the athlete, do you think it would be smarter to anticipate doing a certain number of clean and jerks per round to save time to rest, or should you just slowly go the entire minute? This is one where it's like, you got to know yourself as an athlete. Like in workouts like this, well, here's my opinion on this. You're going to get spent around like minute 4 or 5 regardless. And if you've been slowly, like strategically only doing a couple reps at the beginning, like the daunting task of how many reps you're going to have towards the end can make you feel hopeless, or at least that's what it does to me personally. So I think I would try to put some money in the bank doing a higher volume earlier in that workout, without completely blowing up in the first 1 or 2 minutes, but try to get some there just so it feels like it's a little bit downhill as I go and it gets really, really tough and challenging. If any of you guys have ever done, what's the CrossFit football workout that has thrusters and 135-pound thrusters and burpees on the minute every minute? Kelsu. Like,
oh, Kalsu. Yeah.
That is, this workout reminds me of that. And it is absolutely brutal. It's devastating.
Yeah.
So,
and also I think there's a huge difference when you start, and this is where this gets kind of fun, because there's such minor things that can completely change the game, right? The fact that it's a higher box jump, the fact that you're starting the workout with the box jump and you don't have a full minute fresh to just jam through as many clean and jerks as possible. You're starting like with only 30 seconds if you're lucky to do those get clean and jerks in. Because anytime we have a workout where it's like it starts with the burpees versus the burpees on the minute starting after that full minute of work, it just completely changes it.
Well, yeah, and you think about that, it's like if you didn't have to do the box jumps in that very first minute, like 10, 12 clean and jerks.
Oh yeah, you're just getting a chunk of those.
Is pretty realistic, but instead, because you've eaten up time, it's gonna make it way tougher. So Steven's doing it today. I'll be curious to hear how it goes. Brad thinking 10 plus minutes. Now Brad navigates a barbell, I think, better than I do. So I also always kind of think of myself, and 135-pound barbell just eats my lunch. So that makes it a little bit more challenging, but that is a good workout. It looks like some people are interested in that one and are excited to see how it goes. Renee's praying for you. Let's see how those shins do. Fingers crossed.
Oh man.
All right. So you heard us talk through the stimulus for that one. Let's do this. Let's take this same workout, Fran, that I've got pulled up here, and we're going to tweak it slightly. And I want to hear where your thoughts go as far as stimulus is concerned. Let's say we've got the same rep scheme, the 21-15-9, but now the loading of the thrusters gets significantly heavier at 135 and 95, and it turns into chest to bar pull-ups. So the time of the reps technically should take the same, right? A thruster is a thruster, even though you'll be a little bit slower. Maybe you add 1 second because the weight's heavier, but it's like you can't completely, like a thruster cannot take 7 seconds, or you're not going to be completing the thruster, right? You won't be moving with enough momentum to get the bar over your head. So
quick break in the action. Steven wants everyone to know that he's athletic.
He's an athlete. So shins will be saved. Shins
will be saved.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, this is a completely different workout, huh?
So where's your head at this? What are we going to do?
Well, my head is that the time per rep is going to take a little longer, because it takes a little longer to do a 95-pound, 135-pound thruster. The fatigue is going to be greater, and we are going to see people break it up a lot more in both the thrusters and the chest to bar pull-ups. And so you have to account for, and I think when they break it up, unlike with Fran, when they take the breaks, there's going to be a little more rest time during those breaks, rather than just like, okay, I'm dropping off the pull-up bar, shake my arms out, jump right back up. It's just everything's going to expand a little bit further. So that's the very first thing that I think about is like, okay, all of those things need to be taken into account to account for the volume is the same, but we have a harder pull-up and we have a heavier thruster.
Yeah, so I think of that as like the fatigue is going to be significantly more, and because there's way more breaks and longer breaks, the transitions are significantly more.
Yep.
So we discussed Fran itself, where ideally we wanted it pretty much unbroken with everything, but we could live with 2 sets of thrusters essentially every round, maybe a couple sets of 3 pull-ups. We wanted that done in like 3 sets each round. Where's your numbers for this one? Like,
Yeah,
how many sets?
I don't disagree with Brad here. I'm going to pull his comment up. That's about what I'm thinking. Like 3 to 4 sets. I would love 3 sets, but 3 sets of 7, might be a little spicy. But yeah, no more than 3 to 4 sets. Same thing, 3 sets on the 15, 3 sets on the 9 would be great. The hard part about the thrusters is that you've got to clean it from the ground, right? So every time you drop it, that's another time you've got to clean it. So we don't want people doing singles, obviously, or like even sets of 2. So yeah, I think that this is a pretty good breakdown. I didn't add up the time yet, but I like just 3 sets would be probably what I would start with how I'm doing everything.
I would think, I have a feeling that round of 15 is going to be closer to 4, and I might even live with somebody that does it in 5 sets of 3.
I think the chest to bar pull-ups, especially just because it's easy to drop down and jump back up again. It doesn't,
well, it's easy to drop down and jump back up again, but it is hard to get your chest back to the bar once those things kind of go. And so
yeah, sure,
I was
good
thinking
point.
of what Brad had there is just as the thrusters. And I do think the chest to bar pull-ups, even like you have a few outliers on occasion that are really good at chest to bar pull-ups, and we'll do this in 2 sets per round. But I think the majority of people, even people that are good at regular pull-ups, chest to bar pull-ups are completely different. And so even if they can do 3 sets of 7, the first round of 21, there's going to be a lot of people that all of a sudden are turning into like 3s and 4s and 1s and 2s. And so I think the pull-ups end up, like, I just think the combination for a regular affiliate, a normal, like above average CrossFit athlete, this one is super spicy. So I know Brad put the 9 to 12 minute range. I'm probably allotting closer to like 18 minutes for this thing, and thinking more so like the 12 to 16, based on just the amount of breaks, the smaller sets, and the amount of fatigue that's going to be included in this thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the main area that people tend to underestimate. Is not necessarily how many sets they're going to be, or even how long each rep is going to take. It's a heavier thruster, it's going to take a little longer, it's chest to bar. I think people underestimate the fatigue that sets in and how quickly the breaks add up over the course of the workout.
Yep. All right. So what are you telling your athletes they should be able to do fresh on the thruster and the chest to bar to know what type of loading they should choose? In this workout, what I'm saying is like, hey, I need you to do I'm probably telling them they need to be able to do 7 reps of each movement in the first round for their first set. And
that's 3. Yeah.
That's probably what's going to be my little teaser or test round, is going to be, hey, give me a round of 7 and a round of 5 of each of the movements, and let's see if those are unbroken and pretty quick. And that's going to dictate it there. And that, once again, that being said, even if I have them do, 7 thrusters to start with, if it turns into 7, 6, 5, whatever, 4, whatever that is to get to 21, I'm still probably okay with that, because it just gets nasty pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's same deal with the pull-ups. It's like you do 7 on your first set. That's pretty quick. If they start to trail off even in the first round, I'm all right with that. Wait, let's see. I would tell athletes they should choose a weight. You could do 10 reps fresh. Same with the chest to bar. I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment to give them there. But ultimately, too, even regardless of what we're telling our athletes as a coach, we need to be watching to ensure that we think that, or we see the way that they move. You know what I'm saying? Because I can tell, hey, Kristen, you should be able to do 10 reps fresh and you're like, okay, good to go. And then you load up with the whole thing. And I watch you do like 3 thrusters at 95 and they look like 3 1-rep maxes in a row. And I'm like, yeah, you might think you can do 10, but you're not. So it's not only what I'm telling them to help give them context, but this is one where I'm really trying to make sure that I'm providing the scaling options. Now, Grant makes mention here, and I think this is a critical component. It's like determining the stimulus is one piece, and we want to see what this looks and feels like for our quote unquote best athletes in the gym. And so we just talked about this being north of 10 minutes, maybe even closer to 15 minutes, and like even our best athletes breaking up the sets. And so, Grant, when you say if you had to scale this down for some athletes, wouldn't it become closer to the stimulus of the normal Fran, which could cause there to be a varying stimulus between athletes in the class? If we ended up having athletes do a scaled version of this where the weight was light enough to where they were doing it unbroken and the pull-ups were like unbroken or 2 sets, that means we scaled it too much and we should be challenging them a little bit more. And so this is a challenge. This is a tough thing for us as coaches where it's like, I look at as an athlete, I look at 135-pound thrusters and chest to bar pull-ups, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Give me 95 and, and regular pull-ups. I'll go way faster and it'll be quote unquote, it'll just not be that much of a challenge the same way that this is. So it's our job as coaches to push them to do a little bit more as long as their technique and quality of movement allows for it. But it's like, I'm not going to let somebody drop down to a weight that they can do unbroken. I'm going to push them to use a weight on the barbell that at best they do in 3 sets. And so I think that's the tricky part of this thing.
And this is why I tell coaches it's so important to understand how to create a stimulus, even if the stimulus is given to you, as it is for most coaches, because most of us are not doing our own programming. And even if your gym is doing in-house programming, there's usually just one person that's doing the programming. And so typically the stimulus is given to us, right? Like, here's the workout, here's the stimulus. But it's really important to be able to figure out how that stimulus was achieved and be able to break it down and be able to just do it on your own, because that is a direct path to knowing how we want to scale our athletes properly. Because if you don't understand how we're getting the stimulus and what the thruster should feel like and the breaks and, all of that stuff, it is going to be hard to scale our athletes correctly so that they still get the same challenge as the people doing it RX. And we don't end up giving them the same stimulus as something like regular Fran.
We've got some good stuff here in the comments. I'm going to pull this one up. I think Brad thinks the sets in terms of percentage, what's the percentage of what they can do fresh. So if we want someone to do a set of 5 or 6 on a movement, that should be about 50% of what they can do fresh. Otherwise, it breaks down too fast. That's an interesting way to look at it. My brain does not work that way. I don't think of that, mostly because we rarely do anything to where it's like, hey, let me see the max of what you can do fresh. Like, we've done it before with like kettlebell swings and wall ball shots where it's like, hey, you're going to go unbroken until you can't, as like a little test or a trial. But I've never done that with like 135 thrusters or things like that. And so it's hard for me to wrap my head around, like, can they do 21 at 135 fresh? And if so, they should be able to do sets of 10 in there. I just look at the way they're moving in the warm up, and if I ask them to do 5, if it looks pretty smooth and efficient, then I feel like that's probably all right. If it looks heavy and slow, then we're probably a little bit too heavy for a workout like this. How do you think about what they can do fresh or percentages or any of that stuff?
I don't. I don't disagree with the concept of it. If that helps take this a little bit of this like subjective kind of intangible way to figure stuff out and make it a little bit more straightforward. I personally just can't think like that. My brain doesn't work like that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting.
And so Brad asked some more good questions here, and we wanted to get to this is, do you find yourself having an avatar for an athlete when finding the stimulus? This workout for a games athlete is probably 5 minutes or less. Absolutely. You have Colton Mertens do this thing and it is like a 3-minute workout. Is it for an RX athlete? Or is it somebody else that could be 16? So we discussed this a little bit before. And I think what we've talked through essentially is like the stimulus is for the best athletes in our gym. So I think of 2 or 3 guys that I have in my gym and 2 or 3 ladies. What's this going to look and feel like for them when they do it as prescribed? That is kind of like my middle ground, or that's the number that I want to look for. So in this particular workout, we've got some athletes where I'm like, I think they could probably do this in that 12 to 15 range, or probably close to that 12-minute range, which is what I'd want technically the stimulus to be. The other avatar and the other person that I solve for, and I mentioned it a little bit before, is like, I also want to think through who is on the far end of the scale, the slowest finisher that I'm going to allow do this thing as prescribed, because that's going to essentially be my upper limit. Because we oftentimes have those athletes that are on the borderline where I'm like, I could let you do this as prescribed, but I know you can't do it in 12 or 14 minutes. I can scale you to get you there, but maybe for today, I'm going to let you do it RX. But if I do that, I need to push out the window of my limit of my time frame there. And so, like, once again, I think of 2 avatars. There's what do I think the time should be? And that's where I'm going to scale most people. And then the back end of that is how long will it take the person that I'm going to let do it RX that is not going to be hitting 12 minutes. What's your thoughts with that, Kristen?
Yeah, I love it. I love it because what I don't love is thinking, okay, we're going to have the top athletes be our avatar, and anyone who can't do it in that time, we're going to scale them.
There's a time and a place where that's the case.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. But, you think of something like Fran, for example, and it depends on the workout. Like, there's a lot of workouts that are benchmark or hero workouts that I'm going to be more likely to let someone kind of push themselves to do it RX a little bit more, even if they're taking a little bit longer. But for the average workout, it's like, yeah, I'll use Fran again as an example. If I'm going to figure out, okay, 1 unbroken, maybe 2 sets, that's the goal. That's what I'm getting my base stimulus from. I also know that I'm going to be totally fine if somebody hits that last set of 9 pull-ups in like 3 sets of 3, and the thrusters in 3 sets of 3, as long as they're moving well and they're continuing to move fast and it's not like a 3-rep max every time. I think it's totally appropriate for that to happen. And yes, their time's going to be a little bit slower than that 4:35 minutes, but we're not looking for them to finish in like 15 minutes. So we have to have that little, I think we have to have that little buffer zone to allow for deviation from that like hard time that we've figured out.
Yep. I agree with that. Yeah. So Brad, who determines the avatar or who the stimulus is for? We say it, and this is a very general term. It's like, oh, you program for the best, you scale for the rest. And so take that and interpret it however you feel appropriate in your affiliate, in my opinion. I think that's like, nowadays, like a 3-minute Fran time is not even relevant as far as good, because it was said in the comments earlier, like Noah Olson did it in like 1:45 or something like ridiculous for that. And so you think of 3 minutes, that's almost twice as slow. And you're like, but that's still really, really good. I don't want to get to the point where we're scaling Fran to where everybody in the gym does it in under 3 minutes. It's like, no, there's a rite of passage of doing it as prescribed and feeling the like uncertainty that comes with doing it and doing it in 6 or 8 minutes. And I think that's all right. So program for the best.
I have a question for you as far as avatar, that I've heard a lot of people do it this way. Rather than just taking your maybe 1 or 2 athletes that are the top in your gym, looking at each movement in the workout individually. So let's say there's a 400-meter run, looking at, okay, who's my best runner? How long is that going to take? And then they come in and there's like some, I don't know, squat snatches or something, like, okay, who's really good at the barbell? Who's the best at squat snatches? How long are they going to take? And just kind of piecing it together based on the best athlete in that movement. What do you think about that? Do you do it that way?
I don't. My brain thinks in averages in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so And like, I don't necessarily always do the, like, how long does an individual movement take? I'm always just like, on average, what's this going to be? And so if it's a run, and you mentioned a 400-meter run, well, do I have some people that can consistently run 400 meters in a minute 30? Yes. Am I ever going to use that as my stimulus time for a 400-meter run? Absolutely not. I'm going to do 2 minutes. That's it. 400-meter run, it's 2 minutes is what I'm looking for the run time. Does that mean that there's going to be people that are running it in 2:15, maybe even 2:30? Yep, and I'll probably live with that. When it comes
Which
to
was
squat,
interesting with the run really quickly is that concept, I think, is pretty well accepted, right? Like there's going to be people that can run a minute and 30, but then also people that run it in 2.5. And I'm okay with both. And why for a lot of discussion, it's like that doesn't translate to other movements, right? Where it's like, no, it should take a minute. And there's that range of, we may have people finishing a minute apart from each other with that run, but that's okay. We're going to allow that to happen. And we can give that range to some of the other movements as well. And that's kind of where I think you were saying with your best RX athletes and also your slowest RX athletes. So you just kind of are looking at it that way, huh?
yeah, I'm looking at averages with this stuff. And it's like, all right, on average, what should this take? I'm all right with people being a little bit faster. I'm all right with people being a little bit slower, but it's typically averages that I'm looking at. For example, you think of something like 20 wall ball shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on average, I'm going to, like, you can do 30 wall ball shots in a minute if it's unbroken and you're kind of efficient and quick at those things. But 20 in a minute is pretty realistic. And if there's a bunch of rounds of that and there's something else nasty with it, I can probably turn that into 90 seconds because somebody's going to do 10 and they're going to rest. They're going to do another 10. So it's like, that's the way my brain thinks about it. Let's see. We've got some more stuff here in the comments that I want to bring up. There's a debate around strict kipping, chest to bar pull-ups. I don't know that I want to dive into that too much. That's kind of off topic for us here. We'll save that for another day. I wouldn't
We'll
mind
let people keep debating in the comments about it.
Yeah, we'll let you guys keep doing that. But like, so Brad brings up workout for us today was 150 double unders, 2,000 meter row, 150 double unders. I find it challenging to get the jumps to the right stimulus for folks that can't do double unders. And then he goes on to say, I hate doubling reps, so I usually go to a higher jump, but still they speed through it. And it's not as difficult, but 300 jumps isn't a good scale. What is your thoughts when it comes to like double unders?
One of my go-tos for double unders for a workout like this would just to be put a time priority on the double unders. You know,
so what would that time be at 150?
150, probably do like 2 minutes. 3 minutes.
So you think of like, if someone goes unbroken, they're doing 100
3 minutes.
Yeah, I think I would push it closer to 3 minutes.
3. Yeah. And I just say like, hey, look at the clock. You're gonna, and it may be less time, right? Depending on the person, if we need to reduce the volume a little bit. But I'm a fan, or giving them attempts, like, hey, you're just gonna try to get lowering the volume. Like if they have double unders, right? Like instead of 150, you're just gonna do a lower volume of it, or just count your attempts. Or look at the clock and just try or jump or try for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, I like that. I think, Brad, I'm with you on doubling the reps, especially in a workout like this, turning it into 600 jumps. That's very different than 300 jumps. And I'll be honest with you, like for people that are good with double unders, it takes them the same amount of time that people can do single unders for the most part. And I'll be honest, I also think it's like, if you're efficient at double unders, it's about the same like on you metabolically. And so I typically will keep the numbers the same to where it's 150. We're going to do 150 single unders. If somebody isn't super proficient at single unders, but they don't have double unders. Now, if there's somebody that can do some double unders, then I'm probably going to do a mix and match. Hey, I want you to, give me X number of double unders and then finish out with single unders, or give me X number of attempts and then finish out. But I don't think like doubling the reps, and from my experience, like the timing of it usually should work out to be pretty darn similar. And so kind of keeping it with that is what I would recommend.
But again, this is where knowing the stimulus comes into play, because it's like if you have people that are like, oh, I've got double unders and they're taking 6 minutes to get through their 150 double unders, we should be, then it's
They
like,
should
well,
be
we
the
need to
one.
be scaling them a little bit because we know how long approximately we're looking for that portion to take.
Yeah, that's
Drop in.
what's up, Christian? Yes. And so instead of scaling the single unders up in that scenario, we need to scale the double unders down. If you can't do your 150 in 3 minutes, then it should be 100 or 90 or whatever that number is to keep it probably similar there. Let's see what else we've got in here. Brad, determine how long average athlete takes. Yep, have them do penguin jumps. That's always a good option. Grant, would you rather have an athlete run the 400 meters in 2:30-ish or have them scale down to something like 300 meters? I guess the athlete's preference is a big factor too. It is to some degree. Now, most people prefer not to do what they don't like or aren't very good
I know.
at.
I'm like, my preference is 300.
We want to challenge people, but I will tell you this: if a workout starts with a 400-meter run and they're going to run it in 2:30 in the very first round, that's probably too far. And so I would go with the 300 meters to get them closer to that 30-minute window there, or 30-minute, the 2-minute window there for that, because we know it's only going to slow down as the rounds increase. I've also done it to where I'll switch the distance. It's like, hey, you're going to run 400 meters on the first round, 200 meters on the second round. Then we'll kind of reevaluate and maybe go 400, 200 or something like that.
Yeah, we do that a lot just because then it averages out, right? Like maybe they're going a little slower on the 400s, but because they're going a little faster than everybody on the 200s, then like overall the time averages out and we're still able to push them to get a little bit of that volume in. I like that option.
Yep, Grant, I'm with you. Liking the time effort on the double unders, I think that's a good way to do it. But 2 minutes of practice seems to be a huge help for you lately. Yep. Instead of just repping out singles, which gets old. I'm with you there. And unfortunately, and I tell my athletes this all the time, I'm like, you're never going to get your double unders in a workout until you're willing to essentially punt a workout into the stands and just suck at them a couple times in a workout, and it blows up your time. And I know it's not as fast as you want it to be, but you've got to struggle through that. And I think the limited time effort is a great way to combine the two, where it's like, hey, I need this to be done in 2 or 3 minutes. So you're going to stop after 2 or 3 minutes, but you need to struggle through practicing and trying those.
Or even anytime you have double unders in an AMRAP, like a time priority workout, that's always a good time to push somebody a little bit more for that, because same reason, right? Like the time, you'll work on it until the time ends up. But yeah, that time under tension is key to get something like double unders for sure.
Yeah. Ricky, give me a little more context with this. When does overall programming variance play a role in stimulus considerations for scaling multiple skill levels? Can you give me an example? Obviously, overall programming variance means that we should be seeing different time durations, different loading, different rep ranges, and things like that. And so, yeah, let me know if you can provide a little bit more context to that, so I can help answer that. I'm not sure what I can add to it as of now. Let's see. What do we have from Brad? Depends on the impact, the rest of the workout, and if 230 max effort for them and they can't work and they'll get back in the door. Drop
This
the
for the
distance.
400-meter run. Yeah.
All right. So there were some, actually the questions or the statements were around handstand pushups and pull-ups. And I think that was on the overall,
strict versus kipping.
The overall opinion on this stuff. Here we go. I've got 2 more workouts that I want to pull up. Well, yeah, 2 variants of the same workout to hear your thoughts on this. So let's say we've got 15-minute AMRAP, 20 double unders, 5 hang power snatches, 5 strict handstand push-ups. Christian, you'll be happy that they're strict here. We're not allowing kipping. Number 1, when you look at this, what do you think the stimulus is going to be of this thing?
Right away? Move
Do
for
your
15 minutes. Oh, do my math.
math
Like
for
move for
15
15
minutes.
minutes. Yeah. Okay. So this is where we're looking for how many rounds we're expecting people to get. And so
Mhm.
the way that I break it down is, all right, let's look at one round. How long is it going to take to do 20 double unders, the snatches, the handstand push-ups? And then that should give us a roundabout estimate of how many rounds we're looking to get. So I'm looking at 30 seconds on the double unders, walking to the hang power snatches. What's our weight here? 105, 155. So I'm wanting our athletes to do, I'm thinking the 5 unbroken because it's only 5. And it's from the hang, it's a power snatch. Plus, and same thing with the 5 strict handstand push-ups. So I'm going to go 30 seconds, 30 seconds. That's a minute. So I'm saying a minute per round, but now I'm going to add on the transitions, the fatigue, the fact that we could, in the later rounds, probably not doing all 5, maybe 3 and 2. Let's see. So 7 or 8 rounds.
Sweet. Yeah, I think the logic there is about what I would do. I look at it and I'm like, all right, it's a minute to do this thing, but strict handstand push-ups and the power snatches are going to get challenging. And then also this thing, you're moving so fast and the rep range is like the rep
Short.
is so short and small that this is going to be more metabolic than you would think it normally would with like a handstand push-up workout or something like that. And so I think you can do a round in a minute, but you won't be able to maintain that for it's not sustainable for 15 minutes. So then all of a sudden I'm like 90 seconds, I think, for my above average athletes that are good at all of these things. So that puts us at 10 rounds, which I think is the high end. And then that turns me to like 8 rounds for everybody else. And so I'm looking for like 7+ rounds if I'm thinking about scaling for everybody, which means 2 minutes roughly per round. So double under should be 30 seconds or whatever jump rope should be. We should be able to transition to the snatches, which in class, I would want them to be a little bit, quote unquote, heavy or challenging. So probably 2 sets I'd be all right with. And then a version of the handstand push-ups that can be done in 2 sets early on and then maybe 3 sets late. So, yep, that's my thought process there. Yeah, shoulders will be smoked for sure, Brad. Yep, he was on the same page with 2 minutes per round. Now, let's look at this one. So, a derivative of the same workout, but now it's 5 rounds. We've increased the double unders to 100 per round. Well, actually, man, 5 rounds is going to be a lot of this thing, but we'll play the game anyways. 21 hang power snatches.
Was this the main site workout or was this the harder version of it?
The top version was the main site workout.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. I mean, even if it's not, we're going to have workouts sometimes that we're like, this was over-programmed. So it's fine.
This one's definitely over-programmed, but we'll play.
We can still work through the stimulus.
Anyway, so 100 double unders, 21 hang power snatches. Actually, let's just do this. Let's do this rep scheme, but let's turn it into the same 15-minute AMRAP. Let's just do that.
Okay. All right. The clock will save us. We don't have to get all 5 rounds.
Yeah. All right.
So we've already talked about 150 double unders. We gave it that 3-minute time. And that's the thing about doing this over and over again, right? Is you don't have to start from scratch.
150 was 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we've already talked about 150 being 3 minutes. So it just kind of like I just get in that thought process of like, oh, if I've already worked through the stimulus of this workout and I know that that's how long it took, then I can start to just take what I've learned from past workouts and immediately apply it here. So we'll say 2 minutes for the double unders. 21 hang power snatches. Oh, lighter now, 115.75. Yeah, same thing. I'm looking for this to be like first round. Our athletes should be able to do it unbroken, but I'm totally fine with it and breaking it into probably even like 3 sets.
Yep.
And then
time.
So a hang power snatch again, that's about 2 seconds. So we're looking at 45 seconds unbroken. So 90 seconds.
Yep. And then 15 strict handstand push-ups.
Seconds. Strict handstand push-ups. This is one with the 15. In my mind, I'm like 3 sets of 5 is totally fine. Couple seconds per. Again, I think about a minute and a half again for that, like a 90-second. 1 minute to 90 seconds, 1 to 1.5 minutes.
Yeah. 5, come down,
1,
5.
2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 minutes, 3 rounds, 3+ rounds.
Yeah.
I can cycle 21 hang power snatches at 75 pounds, Brad. Come on
then
now.
you'll do exactly 1 strict handstand push-up at a time.
Well, I don't do
Exactly.
Oh no, I think 3 sets of 7 is like totally acceptable and doable for that. Yeah. Oh, maybe I'm thinking 55 pounds in my brain. I'm thinking of that open workout that had the double unders and the hang power snatches. That was 55 pounds, wasn't it?
That was full. It wasn't hang.
Oh,
Full snatches.
they all blur together at this point. Anyway, so I'm thinking, what did I say? 4 rounds? 4 to 5 rounds?
3 plus.
Oh, I did?
3
Okay.
plus, which I
3
think
plus
is
rounds.
realistic.
Yeah,
Yep.
3+ rounds. Oh yeah, 15 minutes, 5 minutes around.
And this is one, like if we would have kept it at the 5 rounds of this thing, although we think the first round's around 5 minutes, this is one where fatigue's going to catch up to you. And then your inability to do the handstand push-ups and then the overlap of what happens with your shoulders is going to turn the power snatches into less reps. So although it was like 5-minute rounds for 3 rounds, I think rounds 4 and 5 are going to be closer to 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say probably even longer than 6. I would
Yep.
even stretch that out a little bit more.
So that would probably be something where like the stimulus I would say is 25, and I'd probably allow closer to 30 minutes if it was 5 rounds. So just an interesting way to look at and start talking through and thinking through some of this stuff where it's sometimes I think we as coaches will look at something like 15 strict handstand push-ups and we think of that in the form of like, well, I've got athletes that are really, really good at strict handstand push-ups. It's like, I've got Rena who crushes those. She can do 15 strict unbroken in 20 seconds. And then all of a sudden, if that is the standard, then all of a sudden I can start looking at this thing and being like, yeah, you can do all 5 rounds in 15 minutes. And you're like, that is not, number one, realistic. And number two, even though she's really good at them and above average, they're going to slow down as the workout continues to compound. So having the ability to factor in the transitions and the rest and the interaction,
the compounding fatigue
becomes the more challenging thing. And a lot of stuff that's I know helped us is just doing a ton of these workouts, coaching a ton of these workouts. I know for myself, like early on, I would be completely wrong. I'd write a workout and I'd be like, oh, this is definitely a 9-minute workout. Luckily, when I started my gym and I was programming, I would do the workouts a day before and I'd be like, yeah, this is 9 minutes. And then I'd look at the clock while I'm doing the workout at minute 18 and I'm on round 3 of 5. And I'm like, I don't think I got that one right.
Yeah. And there's even still like, I'll do workouts where it's like, wow, I completely underestimated how high my heart rate would be during this, or how this is a box jump workout. This is not even a clean and jerk workout. It's like you see it on paper and you think one thing, and it just takes, I think Boz and Pat Sherwood said on their podcast, if you guys ever listen to that Varied Not Random, talking about stimulus, the only true way to figure out if a stimulus that you determined is right is to actually do the workout. Like it's all conjecture until you do the workout and see what the data shows you that the stimulus actually comes out as. So we can do our best bet and guess based on all the things we talked about. But sometimes you're off, and then you learn from that, you collect that data point, and you remember the next time something like that comes up, how different movements are going to interfere with each other or what have you. So
yeah, final questions here from Brad. How do you determine your ballpark or your plus or minus for the workouts? Does it shrink the faster the workout should be? And is it extended the longer it is? So he gives the example of Fran being like 4 to 6 minutes. A workout that's 25, should it be 20 to 30 then? Like, do you keep it tighter? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the longer the workout, the more room for error, the margin for error, and the more you're allowing people to take a little longer on certain things. The shorter the workout, the less wiggle room there is. So, yeah, I think for a 25-minute workout, I would be totally fine giving like about an 8 to 10-minute time buffer there. But I'm not going to give a 10-minute time buffer on something like Fran.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think of this, and I like the way I factor this is what I mentioned earlier is like, what's going to be the slowest time that I let somebody do this RX? Like, what do I expect that to look like? That and maybe a little tiny buffer is going to be the upper end of that. And usually, especially in the longer time duration workouts, like a workout that I think the stimulus should be 25, and that's what I'm scaling most people to. I know there's probably going to be some outliers that are significantly faster. Somebody that, like, if I want it to be 25 minutes for most of my athletes, I might have my best 1 or 2 athletes finish in 18 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a pretty big discrepancy, but I'm probably all right with that. If they're that fast, like if you're that fit and that fast, I can live with that. I want the majority, it should be like a bell curve, right? The majority of the people are near that 25-minute mark. And I think the 20 to 30 window is good there. Although I want people to finish Fran in roughly 5 minutes, I'm going to push out the far end to like 8 and a lot for 10 minutes there, because I'm all right if people feel the impact of Fran. And then I also know that if I've got somebody who's really fit that can do it in south of 3 minutes, I'm going to be all right with that too. So it just kind of depends, but I think you've got a good idea as far as baseline goes. But what a fun discussion. We appreciate all the comments, all the interactions. Keep bringing that stuff. Let us know if there's any additional topics that you guys want us to talk about. We would love to just discuss the stuff that you guys think is interesting. As always, if you guys aren't part of Affiliate University, if you're an affiliate owner, you're missing out. You guys need to take advantage of that. If you're not part of the knowledge as a coach, you guys need to take advantage of that. And in fact, we've got, if you sign up between now and I think it's the end of August, you get entered into a raffle to get your affiliate fees paid by besthouroftheirday.com or best hour of their day. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. If you're on the fence, take advantage, get your name thrown into the hat to see if you win that. Also, you're going to get a free credential. So a level 1, level 2, level 3 for somebody that needs it at your affiliate. If you guys aren't signed up to go to Affiliate Con, make sure you guys do so. If you use the code GAMES, you get $100 off your ticket to Affiliate Con. The name of speakers and presenters that are going to be there just continues to add up. It's pretty darn cool. I can't wait to be there. But appreciate you guys. As always, a pleasure. And so look forward to chatting with you next week. Talk to you soon. Thank you for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. Now, if you're a coach who wants to coach more effectively, impact your members, and advance your career, then the Knowledge Pro is the next step. Inside, you'll get hundreds of coaching videos, weekly calls with level 4 coaches, and direct feedback on your coaching. From homework reviews to full class breakdowns, we do it all. This is the best way to grow as a coach and take your skills to the next level. Now, you can join the Knowledge Pro at besthouroftheirday.com/the-knowledge. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. Now keep coaching, keep improving, and we'll see you next time.